that union job did not immediately give him the money to buy that house outright. It took 6 years of savings. It didn't allow us to move to a more prosperous community. It didn't allow us to send me and my brothers to private school or buy new cars or even get ahead of the one that we had, which allowed us to kind of lean forward and hope that it got up a hill. It didn't allow us to go to any kind of vacation other than traveling out to Iowa to small farm towns to visit my family out there. I share that with you because my father's story and my story is not unusual or unique. There's many among us here who can share that same story. And what is different is that kind of success is no longer part of the American dream. Those of us who came from less were told to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we did, but we did not have any boots. And what gave us those boots to pull ourselves up? Government. Government gave us the boots by enacting legislation and policies that made it possible for folks like me and my family to get a leg up and to get a step hold on that ladder of success. My father retired recently from that same reporting job, and he still lives in that house in Waukegan. I see him every Tuesday. He never moved out of the middle class, but he did move up a few rungs, and he gave me a better start, again, because of legislation and policies that were enacted that allowed me to do so. An organized labor, to quote, requires government support to thrive. Things like the right to organize workplaces, rules that prevent retaliation against union leaders, and requirements that make management have to negotiate in good faith. And in America, that support has traditionally come from the Democratic Party. Democrats have supported economic policies like minimum wage laws and expanded health care that help not just union members per se, since they'd already won most of them at the bargaining table, but for the middle class and the working class at large. There has been a steady erosion, however, of the value of government and the value of labor. A healthy society, has a robust middle class. Where is ours? We've all seen the charts, we've all seen the figures showing the decline of the middle class, the decline in the value of our wages. I mean, I think about what my father, the salary that he retired at, and when he started his job, when he got the union job, and it's like maybe 10,000 difference, and this is after a lifetime of work. The majority of the economic gains have gone to the top 1%, where you need at least $8 million to get in there. I don't have that kind of money. And where the richest 20 people in our country own more wealth than the bottom 150 million people. But we don't need a chart. We don't need figures to know that that's real, because we know what's happening in our own communities, and we know what's happening in our own homes. I was at a breakfast a few weeks ago with the University of Illinois professor Bob Bruno, and he and his colleagues at the University of Illinois, using research and facts. Thank you.
It's sad we have to applaud for research and
We're looking at these questions. What policies improve a state's economic performance? And how do specific state laws impact economic outcomes? And what they're finding is that no longer are we a nation of the middle class for the first time in our country's history. What they're finding is that union decline explains between 1/5 and 1/3 of the overall increase in inequality in the United States. What they are finding is that Martin Luther King was right when he said in 1961, we're still talking about this. We must guard against being fooled by false slogans, such as right to work. Right to work is a law that robs us of our civil rights and our job rights. Its purpose is to destroy labor unions and the freedom of collective bargaining by which unions have improved wages and working conditions of everyone. Wherever these laws have been passed, wages are lower, job opportunities are fewer, and there are no civil rights. Someone should tell that to Bruce Rauner, and someone should tell that to our county board. You know, the fact of the matter is that the so-called Reagan Republicans are supporting these types of anti-worker measures. In fact, they still believe trickle-down works. Does it work? No. Right. You can't tell that story. They still believe that it works. And just the other day, Congressman Peter Roscoe, who represents the 6th District in McHenry County, was out at Reagan's California ranch posing for pictures and putting up a video with this stack of papers of tax laws and proposing tax cuts for corporations and wealthy Americans. Now, when Republicans advocate for tax cuts for wealthy Americans and corporations, I think that it's because it stimulates the economy. That's what they tell us, right? I think it's reasonable for us to expect facts and research, right, to show that it actually works. Because we know after how many years now that it does not. Most wealthy people don't spend enough money to stimulate the economy. They save it or invest it. And unlike us, when we get money, we spend it. And even when we get like a tax return, we spend it as well. And we spend it here in our own communities. And we spend it on things that are provided by people who are working in jobs that give them a lower middle class or middle class life. More than 64 million Americans, 64 million Americans make less than $15 an hour. It is very hard to have dignity in work when you are not valued. Those like Trump and Rauner and their big money corporate friends have not only benefited from, but have skillfully orchestrated the demise of the middle class. So how do we fight back? Because I'm ready.
Let's do it.
How do we make sure that we get a chance at rising on that ladder of success? Well, again, back in 1961, Mr. King had it right. He said, "We do not intend to let them to do this to us. We demand this fraud be stopped. Our weapon is our vote." But we must have people to vote for. And we must vote every time at every election, for every level of government. It's not about the last election, it's about the next election. The Democratic ticket is very full at the top right now in the gubernatorial and the congressional races, but we have other spots down ballot. And whoever comes out of that primary in the gubernatorial race will have to face right-to-work Rauner. And to defeat him, we need not only your vote, but also your voice. I think I read last that Rauner and Mr. Griffin, the two of them, have dumped over $71 million already into his campaign. We must use our voice to say no to fake news and the efforts that they're using to try to divide us. We must say yes to helping Democrats get elected and to end the policies and the legislation that have brought us here. Cooperation is better than conflict. Unity is better than division. Empowerment is better than resentment. And bridges are better than walls.
Yes.
We are stronger when we have an economy that works for everyone. An economy that grows incomes for working people, creates good paying jobs, and puts a middle class life within reach for more Americans. Our power lies in our passion. Our power lies in our solidarity. And we will not relent. We will not give up. We will persist. We will resist. And we will prevail together. Thank you. Happy Labor Day.
How do you follow that one, huh? All right. I don't think anybody has better labor creds than I do. In 1906, my grandfather was vice president of the railway machinists, working on the Elgin